All right, well, every night we take a look outside the day's top stories for what we call the Out Front Outtake. And tonight, the Great Barrier Reef is our story, the world's largest network of coral structures. It is 1,800 miles of Australia's northeast coast, and it's home to thousands of species. And it's endangered itself, a crucial ecological and cultural feature. The only things that have been able to slow it down at all are humans. Pollution, shipping, and fishing are the biggest threats to the reef's survival. But despite mankind's disregard, the Great Barrier Reef has managed to take everything we've thrown at it and survived. And so we decided to drop a few bombs on it. Yeah, because during a training exercise last week, 2 American fighter jets dropped 4 bombs onto the Great Barrier Reef Marine Park. The laser-guided explosives, I don't know if they're like laser-guided at fish or something, I'm not sure. Anyway, they weighed a total of 2,000 pounds. They were released by the pilots when their exercise was scrubbed at the last minute. They weren't sure they'd be able to make it back to base with that payload. Now, before you get too worked up about the U.S. military bombing one of the world's national wonders, owned or whatever, part of the territory of one of our greatest allies, you should know that, well, the bombs weren't armed, and according to the U.S. Navy, the environmental impact was quote-unquote minimal. That's what they say. Still, 2,000 pounds dropped onto a natural wonder of coral full of great life from a great height. Minimal seems a bit dense of a word to use. You know, environmentalists are often criticized, right, for being alarmists, and sometimes, sure, let's admit it, their constant warnings get a little old. But if you don't want to hear from environmentalists, maybe you should stop giving them ammunition like that. Out front next, superhuman deeds.
Environmentalists are reacting angrily to news that U.S. jets dropped bombs last week near the Great Barrier Reef. Fighter pilots jettisoned 4 unarmed devices into an area designed to protect the UNESCO World Heritage Site. U.S. Navy spokesperson William Marks says the pilots were taking part in a joint drill with the Australian military. They intended to drop the bombs on a pre-approved area away from the coral reef, but aborted the mission after spotting civilian boats below. He says the pilots were low on fuel and could not land with the bombs on board, so they conducted an emergency jettison. Marks says the environmental impact was minimal and the devices pose no risk to ships. But a senator from Australia's Green Party said dumping the bombs was outrageous.
Climate change was the greatest one.
We're letting the US military drop bombs on the World Heritage Great Barrier Reef. I mean, have we gone completely mad? Is this how we look after our World Heritage areas now? Letting a foreign power drop bombs on it?
U.S. Navy officials say they are working with Australian authorities to